adventures with, I was about to say my adventures with Superman, episode 9, 0 Day Part 2. And it's your boy Icon with a DC TV review. And like I said, there was no way in hell Superman was going to be rescued by Lois and Jimmy. And like, actually, this was much worse. So it wasn't Lois who saved Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy. It wasn't Lois and Jimmy that saved Superman. It was basically the damn children. Like, they got the kids, like that child group, that detective kids group. They got them on board, and they're now like combing the streets and combing the city, trying to find the Man of Steel. And I was just like, I would have rather Lois and Jimmy just walked into the front door, guns blazing. So we didn't get a Batman. We didn't get another hero reference. But now it takes us to, I guess, Cadmus, where they have Superman under lock and key. And here's where we get the general backstory. Because when the general had Superman under lock and key and he was talking to him, he was just like, I'll never let your kind do what you did to us again. And then he shows Clark like a flash. He actually shows him a flashback, which was funny. He shows him a flashback of back when both the general and Mandy were fresh young recruits out of the academy. And while they were on their base, doing their training, whatever it is that they were doing, all of a sudden out of nowhere, like a hole opened in the sky, and Kryptonian ships led by someone who looked like Superman in a war costume basically attacked the base and murdered damn near every single person that was on the base. That's how they got their hands on the Kryptonian technology, because when they basically had defeated the army base and they were about to kill the last remaining members of the army base, then all of a sudden the invaders they disappeared, and they ended up getting sucked back into the vortex hole that they came in from. But a lot of the technology that flew through the portal with them ended up crash landing, and it stayed on Earth. It stayed on our world. That's how they got their hands on the Kryptonian technology. And I was like, shit, that's a little disappointing, because I would have loved to have seen a Supergirl reference, but the way things are going, the door on a Supergirl reference isn't closed yet. So then after that, then the general said, he said that I waited 22 years since that day preparing, using your Kryptonian technology against you, to try to defeat you, learning everything I can learn. He said that he's the one that created Task Force X for the sole purpose of waiting for the day where you inevitably return to kill us all, because he thinks that the person who was in the black suit is Superman. And because they never showed, because the thing is, to hide the person who's in the suit, to hide that person's face is ridiculous. Like, if it's Clark, then it's like there was no reason to hide his face. So I don't think that was Clark. That had to be maybe General Zod or somebody else. But then he said, it's like, when you showed up, Superman, and you were flying around talking about how you just wanted to help, I was like, bullshit. And he's like, I knew I had to take you down immediately. And then after he showed him the footage, Superman started crying, and then he was just like, I don't understand, why would my people do that? Why would they, why would they be killers? Why would we come here to hurt people? Logic started kicking in, and the general was just like, if he ages the same way, I mean, he doesn't age the same way we do, but he said that if he ages the same way that we do, there's no way that was him that destroyed the base on that day, because, he's barely like 21 years old. And then that's what, because he was just, that the general was just like, I don't think he was the person who invaded. And then that's when Amanda Waller, she was just like, oh, she was like, get it together, man. She was like, he's an alien, he's an invader, we got to kill them all before it's too late. And then that's like, now the general kind of feels some kind of way, because he looked into Superman's eyes and he knows a good person when he sees one. And again, and even if he still thinks that the Kryptonians are evil and people like Superman need to be destroyed, he now knows that Superman wasn't the person on that day that destroyed their base. So, but Amanda Wallace is like, nah, she's like, kill his ass. So when the general goes to kill him, that's when the Parasite decided to extract his revenge. And then the Parasite, along with the other metahumans like Silver Banshee and everybody, they basically busted through the compound and they went to where Superman's cell was. And then that's when the Parasite was talking shit, and the Parasite basically started whooping Superman's ass. So he was just like, oh, you beat me last time, but you cheated. He's like, but now, he's like, I'm gonna get my revenge. So now all the metahumans and the Parasite, they're fighting Superman. Superman said he wasn't gonna fight back because he was just like, I've seen too much death and too much pain or whatever. The army people show up, and now the army is fighting the metahumans. And then during the fight between the army and the metahumans and the Parasite and everybody, Superman basically snuck away and crawled out from the compound. He ended up coming out like up top of sewer. He came out of the sewers. And then when he came out of the sewers, the little black girl, who who was a part of the detective team, she saw him. She picked up Superman, took him back to their detective clubhouse. Jimmy and Lois showed up, and they're just like, oh my God, Clark, you know, like, we're so glad to see you. And then that's when Clark did the whole, like, oh, I'm a weapon, and I was here to kill you all. And then Jimmy immediately shut that shit down. Jimmy was just like, bro, it was just like, you're not a weapon. He said that you're the most nicest, kindest person like we've ever known, and clearly you're here, like you said, you were here to help. You don't have a single ounce of evil like in your heart. But he was just like, oh, but I was created, you know, like on my planet, I'm an alien, and I'm what? And then it's just like, Jesus Christ. So then, you know, they try to talk him down off the ledge, try to snap him out of it. The parasite ended up absorbing all the energy from the power grid throughout the entire city, and then the parasite grew to the size of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And then when the parasite was basically trouncing the city and destroying everything in the city, that's when Superman decided, he was like, I gotta get up off my ass and I gotta go save the day because people need help. And then Lois was like, oh, don't do it because, you know, you're weak and blah blah blah. But he was just like, no, people need saving. So I'm like, now all of a sudden, and so then he flies into action. He fights the parasite. Him and the parasite are going at it, but the parasite was too powerful because of all the energy that he was getting, and he absorbed Clark's energy, and he actually started whooping Superman's ass at one point. Lois and Jimmy needed to come up with a way to save him and try to help him. So what Jimmy did was he basically went on his Flamebird account, and then when he went on his Flamebird account, he told everybody on Flamebird, he said, listen, shut off your power grids, shut off all communication of power, because that's where Parasite is getting his strength from. And then Lois grabbed the mic and she was just like, listen, Superman saved us over and over and over again. You know, he's here to help. And then he saved us so many times, it's our turn to now help him. Everybody shut off your power and let's help Superman stop this evil that's trying to, you know, like threaten our town. And then, you know, everybody turned off their power grids. The Parasite ended up losing power. Superman, you know, he got a little power charge, and then he started fighting the parasite. And then towards the end, his X-ray vision finally kicked in, because like every episode we get a new power. His X-ray vision finally kicked in. He used his X-ray vision to see the parasite, to see Ivo inside the parasite, and then he flew in, you know, bust a hole through the armor. He took Ivo out of the armor. They put Ivo back in jail, and the world is once again safe thanks to Superman. And then he went back to Lois. Lois told him that she loves him. He said he loves her too, which I thought was weird because as far as the show is concerned, I think it's only been a month. So it's like, it's only been a month. They told about I love you. Anyway, so then, you know, Jimmy, he ended up leaving the two lovebirds alone. And then when Jimmy was leaving, he actually had the spear that Lois had in his pocket. When he picked up the spear, it activated. And then when it activated, Jimmy saw Clark as Superman destroying the world and killing everything all over the planet. So now Jimmy, he's just like, oh shit. You know, so there's going to be some explaining to do. I don't even think Clark hasn't even seen that cube yet, because I saw coming attractions for the next episode. And then Superman was just like, when did you get this footage or whatever? And is this the last episode? Are we only getting 10 episodes of My Adventures Superman, or are we getting 13? Like shit. If you know how many episodes the show is getting, let me know in the comment section down below. And finally, when the General goes back to Task Force X, the Wall, you know, this is how she gets her rise to power. She's like, on behalf of the authority of the United States government, General, you've been relieved of your duty, and I am now in charge of Task Force X. And what you're going to do is you're going to use this particular weapon, which was Ivo's last creation, to kill Superman. And she called it the Omega Gun. And I was just like, shit, we're getting a dark side. We're getting dark side. That was a dark side reference, ladies and gentlemen. In case you didn't know, dark side is coming. I don't know when he's coming. Maybe season 2, but dark side's on the way. That's how the episode ended, with the Wall in charge. And thank you for tuning in. So again, if we have one more episode to go, I want to see what the hell is happening, because the General, he's kind of coming on the side of Superman now. We didn't get any other heroes. Amanda Waller's in charge. I have no idea what's going on, but I'm totally interested because this show is shit, and I look forward to what happens in the next episode, whether it's the finale or not. So check out my other reviews, because as always, I got Harley Quinn on the channel. I got my review for Heart of Stone featuring Gal Gadot, as we wait for more superhero goodness to put up on my YouTube channel. Like and or subscribe, hit the notification bell as always, share your questions, comments, and concerns, and I'll see you on the next one. So up and away, guys, as always. Until next time, take care. And I'm out this. Bye.